Welcome to the Home Comfort Zone podcast. I'm Teresa, Marketing Manager at All Comfort Services. Today I have Marissa from Vitruvian Farms. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So tell me, we were just having a little discussion about Vitruvian Farms, and our office is located in Madison, but McFarland is just a stone's throw away. And I noticed that there was this local CSA, Community Supported Agriculture Program, at Vitruvian Farms. They're just 15 minutes from our office, and we've actually been getting a share. About 5 of us are splitting a family share of produce, and so each week for around 18 weeks we're getting a weekly variety of produce, maybe like 18 items, 10 to 18 items, and we can also get eggs with that, and we're really enjoying it. So thank you for your team for all the work that you do, and tell me a little bit more about Vitruvian Farms.
Yeah, so Vitruvian Farms, we're located in McFarland. We are a certified organic mushroom and vegetable farm. And like you said, we have a CSA program. We're packing about 320 CSA boxes every week. We also have a home delivery, an online store across most of Dane County. We have a farm store located right on the farm. And then you'll find a lot of our produce in some grocery stores like the Willie Street Co-ops and a bunch of other restaurants all around Madison and a few in Milwaukee.
That's great. So you have your produce in mostly Dane County, and does that tie in with the size of your farm and what you can support?
Yeah, so we are kind of a medium small sized farm. Our property is about 50 acres, but we're growing on about 8 of them. But we're growing a lot of food on about 8 acres. So we grow a lot of salad greens, a lot of microgreens, and a lot of mushrooms. The microgreens and mushrooms mean that we're able to grow and sell all year. And then we have some greenhouses as well. So then we are growing produce and have it available all year long, even in winter.
How are you able to have all of that produce collected and grown?
A really amazing team. So our farm is owned by Tommy Stauffer and Sean Kuhn. They started it 15 years ago. We actually just celebrated 15 years of the farm this past June. And we have a team of right now about 30 people. About half of those are with us all year long, and then we have some seasonal folks as well. So right now they are busting, growing so much food. We planted about 1,600 tomato plants in our greenhouses back in May. So that means last week alone, we harvested over 2,000 pounds of tomatoes. So in your CSA, you have a couple of gorgeous heirlooms, some cherry tomatoes, and that's just gonna keep coming.
So how does it work if someone was interested in getting a weekly share of produce? How would they go about doing that?
Yeah, great question. So our CSA program, sign up happens around the beginning of the year. So we open that up in January and run that for a couple of months. People will sign up. They pay ahead for that CSA share. And really that helps us kind of manage the farm, because when you're growing food, all of your costs, all of your inputs happen in spring, but then you're not actually making any money until later in summer. So the CSA program allows us to buy those inputs that we need in order to grow the food, and then you get to make one decision. I'm going to get the CSA, and then you get to have really great healthy food for an entire season. So that happens in January, and then the CSA normally starts end of May, early June.
Well, when we signed our office up, I noticed that they were selling pretty fast. When is a good time for someone to get going on it?
We were really surprised this year. We could not believe the amount of support, especially around the CSA. It ended up selling out twice as fast as the year before. So we've continued to grow that. And so signing up earlier is probably better. So as soon as we let people know in January, it's a great time to sign up. You can get a full share, so that's a box of food every single week, or you can do a half share if you're maybe a single person or a family of 2. A half share means you get a box of food every other week, which is normally the right amount, so then you don't end up with too much produce left over in the fridge.
Right. One thing that's fun in an office is that if you have too much produce, you can share it with your coworkers. So it kind of works out. What about the distribution? How do people get that produce?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways through our CSA program that you can get that box of food every week. One way is you can come on down to the farm in McFarland and pick that up. It's a really fun way to come out, see the farm, kind of connect with where your food is growing, be able to talk with your farmers and learn a little bit more about the produce. We also have our farm store there, so we're selling over 500 products, all from local farmers and makers. So if you need to pick up a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, help kind of round out a meal, you can do that right there. But we also deliver on Saturdays, and that's to a lot of Dane County. And then we have a few different pickup sites as well, including a new one this year, which is at Mint Mark and their Supret.
Okay, great. And then I also noticed this year that you had some events, some happy hours.
Yeah, that's something new for us. We started doing the CSA happy hours, just inviting people out during the CSA pickup on Fridays to have a beverage, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, enjoy our patio, hang out, and then maybe get a farm tour.
So there's a lot of fun things going on this summer, and so what happens now? Now, as we're recording this show, it's in August. But what's going to be happening now, fall and winter?
The farm is still growing so much food right now. We're just really ramping up into peak tomato season. We're going to continue to have a lot of different produce available, and so it's a really great time. We're going to have a few more CSA happy hours, but we really encourage people to stop on out to the farm store, whether you have a CSA or not. What I really love about the store is that it's a collection of food from our friends and neighbors, things that we really love to eat, and it's a good balance. You're going to have all your vegetables and mushrooms that we're growing. There's also things like, you know, we all need a frozen pizza some night, so it's kind of nice to have a locally made frozen pizza, or come on out and grab a popsicle or an ice cream sandwich and hang it on the patio and enjoy that.
That sounds great. It sounds like it's something that everybody can find. Somebody can find something there and participate in locally grown organic produce.
Yep, so everything that's grown on Vitruvian Farms, our produce, our mushrooms, is all certified organic. But in the farm store and on the online store, you might find some things that aren't organic or aren't certified organic. In those cases, you can trust that we are pretty heavily vetting their growing practices, and it's something that we feel comfortable with. So a really good example is strawberries, which are notoriously difficult to grow organically. We partner with Carindale Farms out in Oregon. And so we're bringing in his strawberries. We've learned about his practices and feel really good about bringing that in.
Are there any other unique things that you offer at your store?
Oh my gosh, there are so many favorite things right now. Like I said, the store really came out of all the things that we love to eat. And I live right on the farm too, so it's really great to have a grocery store that you love right in your own backyard. There are some things that you really can't find many other places. There's ice cream sandwiches from the folks at Tart. They don't have a storefront, so they're just selling out of a few different places, including ours. We're able to bring in some really great fruit from Carindale, some other local places. Right now we have lots of blueberries, and they are just, you don't realize what an actual like well-grown blueberry can really taste like.
And some gluten-free options for people too?
Yep, we have a lot of gluten-free options. We have a lot of vegan options. Outside of just the vegetables, we're trying to find gluten-free and vegan desserts and a variety of different things. Obviously, being in Wisconsin, we have a variety of different cheeses available, meats from different local farms. And then something new this year is that we did get our liquor license, so we're able to sell beer, spirits, and cider all made locally.
So I noticed when I was in the store over the winter time, the celery was amazing. Tell me about the celery.
I know, we're kind of experiencing a bit of a celery revolution, and it always used to be one of those foods I was like, celery, like not a lot of flavor, not really that exciting. And all of a sudden, people are craving celery. And so we had celery through a majority of the winter. And what I love is that people are able to get some fresh produce that's grown locally in the middle of winter, and we would see them walking out of the farm store just snacking on celery on the way to the car. And that just made us so happy, so excited to see people eating good, healthy, local food that they can access all year.
Okay, so it's January now. What can we eat?
Yep, and that's one of the things we want to let people know too, is that we do have local food available all year, and it's not just, you know, potatoes and root crops in January, because like everyone else, like I get sick of that in January, but we have things like our mushrooms and celery and carrots, things that we're able to grow in our greenhouses, microgreens, and even some lettuces available. So it's nice to have some nice fresh food even in the middle of winter. There's a lot of crops that we don't really know when the season is, and we get a lot of questions from folks wondering, you know, oh, how come I can't get onions or garlic at a certain time of year? Because we're just so used to having those things available all year long. So we love being able to have those conversations with folks around, well, we don't have storage onions available now, but we have other alliums available in spring or summer. So it's really kind of a fun adventure, and the CSA helps you learn how to eat really seasonally. And so it's important to not just eat food that's grown or produced locally. It's also really fun and kind of a fun challenge to eat seasonally too.
I've heard that with people harvesting wild plums.
Yeah.
Do you have plums and fruits, any other fruits on your farm?
We don't have a lot of fruit right now. We have trees that are a few years old, so we're hoping to eventually have some fruit. More for personal use, we have mulberries all over the place, and my 3-year-old, it's her favorite food right now. She just wants to go out and eat every mulberry on the property. Strangely enough, the dog too is loving the mulberries.
Do you amend the soil in any way?
Yeah, we do. It's, you know, we have very clay heavy soil. Being certified organic, there are things we can and can't add to the soil. So we're constantly kind of testing, seeing what works. But really what's interesting too is, so Tommy and Sean started the farm 15 years ago. Neither of them had farming backgrounds. They were college roommates, and they, through conversations, just kept coming back to, you know, there are a lot of things going on. There are a lot of problems, a lot of things they wanted to address after college, and they kept coming back to food and how food and farming, they could both address the environmental impact with our food system and the way we can build community around food. And really that has been kind of the driving force for the past 15 years. But neither of them had farming backgrounds. They learned a lot from reading books, watched a lot of YouTube, and taught themselves. And so it's been kind of this constant evolution of learning, unlearning, and continuing to grow.
Is there a community in Dane County, organic farmer community?
There's several different communities of organic farmers. You know, really locally, we're really lucky to have a great group of farming neighbors. We're actually in the town of Dunn, and there's a great collection of farmers there, folks that you can lean on, who understand kind of what you're going through and troubleshoot problems, and just kind of get together and understand how difficult it can be, and how much joy it can be too.
And what are some of the things that you're thinking about down the road for the farm?
Yeah, great question. You know, putting in the farm store and getting kind of our new building up and running was a huge evolution for the farm. And really this year we're kind of returning back to our growing practices and growing food even better. And I think down the road we want to continue to be able to invite the community to the farm and to better connect with where their food and how their food is being grown.
Lots of cool things to talk about
Yeah.
around this. I mean, and just being able to raise your family around that must be so
Right.
gratifying and satisfying.
It's really amazing. I never imagined I'd be living on a farm, but I figured I would be at this point off in a big city somewhere. But when you fall in love with a farmer, and I really can't imagine any better of a lifestyle, any better way to be raising our kiddo. She goes out almost every evening. She wants to help us close up greenhouses. She's pulling tomatoes right off the vine and eating them, carrots straight out of the ground. But the funny thing is, you bring those vegetables into the house and she won't touch them. No, if she only wants it if she's harvested it herself, can eat it right out of the ground. But same thing in the house, no way.
Yeah, there's definitely a taste. She's smart because you pluck that cherry tomato off and it's warm and perfect temperature, everything. And it does taste delicious right off the vine.
Well, and there's that connection that they can see it growing, they can be a part of it, the part of the harvesting it, and then they're really excited to eat it. And anytime we have groups of students come out, teachers are sitting there in amazement with them, the students eating turnips straight out of the ground. They're like, we can't get them to eat any vegetables at school. I'm like, yeah, because they get to harvest it, they get to be a part of this process. So that's definitely something that, you know, we'd love to do more with too, is be able to connect kids and people with how and where their food's being grown.
Right, I love that, the word connection, because we've all been connected to the soil at some point, you know, and we all have histories of being farmers, I'm sure, way back. And so are you, actually another question is, are you getting food in the schools, or are the schools doing any partnerships?
Yeah, we're not working directly with some of those programs, but we're able to work with some other farmers and folks that are starting to do that. We partner with Scott Williams of Garden to Be, and he's able to aggregate from a lot of different farmers, about 30 different farmers in the area, and then get that produce into schools. The thing with schools that can be difficult sometimes is the volume and the consistency that they need is sometimes hard for small farms to do. So it's really cool to see some of these programs and a lot of nonprofit groups around the area really helping support those efforts.
And I've read some articles that talk about once they have a salad bar in the schools that the kids really like to make something fresh.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Things that you wouldn't think kids would be really interested in eating. I think if you're giving to them and it's fresh and it tastes good, of course they're gonna love it.
There was a movement started with the microgreens years ago, and I don't remember her name, but she started a program. She went to her local school and she looked in the dumpster and it was loaded with food waste. And she went to the principal and she said, hey, look at all this waste. And you've got this parking lot here. Let's get rid of this parking lot. Let's put a garden in here. And it started this sort of edible schoolyard program. So they got rid of the parking lot and they grew like the pizza makings and things like that. And the kids grew the food, harvested the food, and then had lunch on picnic tables in the area that they grew the food.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that was in California, but the whole concept that all schoolyards, all school grounds are edible.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great school programs around this area where they're really getting kids involved in gardening and really interested in how to grow their own food, and therefore they're just more interested in eating things that are really good, you know, unprocessed, fresh food. You know, I feel very fortunate to be able to raise my family right on the farm and to get that lifestyle while also being, you know, 15 minutes away from Madison.
So I appreciate you coming down to share information about the farm. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.